Hey folks, Doug Blake with Body Design University. Let me ask you a question. Have you ever considered transitioning from one-on-one training, right? Just yourself and your client for however long, 45 minutes to an hour. Have you ever considered transitioning from that model into the small group training model? Well, in today's video, I'm going to give you my two reasons. Now, there's a couple of other reasons. And by the way, there's some real good reasons to do one-on-one, but I want to give you my top two reasons why I made the switch from one-on-one training into small group training. It's a lot more than two, but I'm going to give you those top two ones. First and foremost is financial. Now, that is probably the biggest one, okay? And keep in mind that when we're talking about the financial component of your training business, you're charging a certain amount of money right now for your one-on-one training clients, whatever that is. The main reason I switched over was because I could charge a little bit less per client, but not that much less. Believe it, if I charged $50 per session one-on-one, let's just say that's the number that I charged, I wouldn't have to charge $25 and then have more people in it. Oh, no, 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 no. No, the way it works in today's small group training paradigm is that if one-on-one training in your market right now is, let's just say $50, guess how much you can charge for small group training? Probably pretty close to $50, maybe $45. Let's just say for the sake of argument, 40. Not that I'm saying you would do that. But the way it is working out in today's market with small group training, with this model, that the standard one-on-one training cost in any of your markets that you're working in right now, it's probably not going to be much more than about $5, maybe $10 less per session per client in the small group training model. So something like 50 for one-on-one. If you were to look around in your area, in your market, and look at all of those individuals or companies that are doing one-on-one training, what are they charging? More than likely, you wouldn't have to charge any less than about $5, maybe $10 less than those going standard rates, whatever they are. Now, just think about this for a second. If I do one-on-one training, again, nothing wrong with it. We're helping people. We are generating revenue, generating an income. But how do I create more revenue if I need to make more money? Well, I have to get more clients, which means I'm trading my time for the dollars, for the money. And there's nothing wrong with that. That is the model. So that works great. I can also, right, I have to get more clients. But what happens when I tap out on the total number of clients? I mean, honestly, you can't train more than 5, 6, maybe upwards. I don't think I've ever trained more than 8 people a day. I mean, that's physically brutal. Well, what happens now? You have to charge more money, but remember, market forces will kind of suppress the ability to continue to raise prices. Again, normal inflationary increases are what they are, but in order to make more money, I'd have to charge more and right, I'd have to charge more and more in that one-on-one model. Now, just think about it from the perspective of a small group. And this is why the financial part of it is number one on the list. If I have one individual now, instead of charging them $50 an hour, let's say I charge 40. What happens if I get another individual into that little small group? Now, let's just say I'm going to have upwards of 5 people. Well, now with $50 per session, not only did I give these new clients that I'm working with sort of a discount, and they're saying, wow, $40 a session, that's great. And now if I have 2 people, what is my hourly rate? That's right, it's $80. Okay, start doing the math. 3 people, $120 for that one session. So I hope I don't have to continue. When I'm continue on here, 5 people is $200 per session. One of the key aims of small group training is to still provide quality service, but it provides you, the trainer, a tremendous flexibility in modulating your income. In other words, if you want 2 people, to train in a training session, that's great. If you want 3 people, you have that opportunity to do that. So again, number one, the biggest reason that I know I switched, and the trainers that I know that made the transition, that was number one, is that they had the opportunity to regulate, modulate their income potential. So you don't have to train 5 people in a training session. You could cap it, and I know trainers that do this, they cap it at 3. Okay, so again, do the numbers. I can do one-on-one with clients, and there's great benefit to that. Um, the just direct relationship I have with one individual for that period of time, that's great, but I can only charge so much. The reality is that now, if I have 3 individuals and they know they're getting into a small group training scenario, and I charge them a little bit less, the fact of the matter is that if it's 50 for one-on-one, 40 for small group, and I've got 3 people, the math works out really well. So that is a number one reason why we do it. Let me give you the second. And again, there's a list, but I want to give you the top 2 reasons that really just settled it for me. And I've been training one-on-one for a while. I've trained a lot of clients one-on-one. And number 2 is, because of that experience, when I shift to a small group training, I don't have to invest emotionally at the same level that I have to invest with one-on-one. It's the nature of relationships. If I'm dealing with a one-on-one relationship with a client, there is an emotional, sort of psychological investment every time I train with them. That can be very, very exhausting. But the ability to step outside of that one-on-one sort of psychological investment into a client, and now I've got a couple of folks that actually enjoy being in a group, and I'm not the one that has to be in conversation all the time with the client. That was the second reason. That made more sense to me than really anything else. The financial part was just a no-brainer. But then I said to myself, holy cow, at the end of a day, I am just exhausted, not just physically because I'm walking around and changing weights, but I'm just emotionally, psychologically exhausted because I've been talking and trying to motivate and encourage one-on-one. But now in the small group scenario with 2 or 3 people, guess what they do? Is they create their own bond. So the second reason, the top 2, right? Financial. And the second is the ability for me, the trainer, to be able to step out sort of psychologically, right? I guess even if you wanted to use the term emotional, you could say that. But for me to step out and not have to provide all the mental and motivational input. I'm still the main motivator and coach, but now, because my clients sort of have each other and they can work off of each other, it takes some of that load off. So just think about that for a second. If you're a one-on-one personal trainer and you love what you do, I loved what I did with one-on-one, but there was a price that I paid for it, right? In my own mental, psychological, emotive payments that I was making to my clients one-on-one. Once I stepped out and allowed the clients themselves, by the way, just 2 people, relieves you of that stress. Now I can be more of a coach, kind of stepping outside and guiding these individuals. Those are the top 2 reasons. Please, if you are doing one-on-one training and you love it, don't transition into small group training unless those are some of the things that you're considering. What we do know is that trainers that do small group training tend not to transition back to one-on-one as a business model. Once again, if you're doing the one-on-one, stick with it. But once you decide that you want to try something different, look at those 2 reasons and ask yourself a question. Does it make sense to kind of consider moving into the small group training model? And again, there's other reasons why we would move into a small group training model, and there's other drawbacks as well. There are some logistical considerations you have to consider, and we'll talk about that at a later time. Please keep in mind, here at Body Design University, we are just focused on helping you to become industry leading personal trainers, not just good personal trainers, but industry leading personal trainers. Make sure you subscribe to our channel, and you can always click on the bell so that you can get notifications of content. Please leave your comments below. Ask any questions that you have about the personal training industry directly, or any questions related to the content that we've just gone over. Have a great weekend. We'll see you next week. Thanks.